Hey, I am back. Another week. We are now about to talk about week number 4. So, creative perspectives in fall. How about some of those shots that you guys have shared? I am so impressed. So, we're going to do a quick little guide on creative perspectives in fall photography. So, we're going to explore different ways to capture the beauty of fall and just change how you see your surroundings. Let's get started. So, bird's eye view. This was our very first day. We took some shots in the bird's eye view, so up high looking down. Sometimes can be a challenging shot. It's a pretty common one in product photography, and you know there's a place for it. There's a lot of excuse me, a lot of really cool shots that you can get, whether you're using a drone or simply just shooting from a high vantage point and looking down. This perspective just allows you to capture some patterns and the symmetry of your composition that sometimes you might not notice necessarily. So you know that's one of the reasons why it's a lot of fun to play with bird eye view in this kind of photography. So just remember to keep your horizon level for balance, and just include elements that lead the eye and move you around your frame, and you know, like a winding path or different clusters in colorful trees, just the different lines and shapes that you might see. So a worm's eye view. This is another really cool one. It's kind of interesting. When you think about a worm down on the ground looking up, how often do you get down on the ground and look up and take a picture? Maybe you're under a tree and you're shooting up at the tree. So consider doing that and just see what images you might get and just the different perspective and how it might make you feel or make the viewer of your photo feel. It can add a really unique style to your photo. And another thing you can try to do, if you have a wide angle lens or a mode on your camera phone or your camera that has wide angle, try to take some, because it can be particularly effective when capturing this type of scene where you're low and looking up. Don't forget to include the sky too, because that can add a lot of color and some really great contrast. And another thing that I had mentioned about was leading lines. You know, that's one of the great things and things that you really have to do with photographic design is lead them around your frame. You want their eyes to not just be fixated on one spot, but like maybe the subject be the main focal point, but then something about that subject takes them down here and then up over here and just moving all around. So having those leading lines like roads, paths, rivers is going to guide your viewer's eye toward the subject and around the subject and just see the whole totality of your composition. So, you know, try to set up your shots, compose your shots so that those lines converge in the distance, and then that helps to create depth and a sense of perspective in your photograph. And then the last tip that we're going to cover today is negative space. Sometimes this can be a little bit of a scary thing to do because you don't want to have too much negative space or you don't want to have too little negative space. So what is that happy medium? So there's a technique involving using empty space around your subject to make it stand out. So give your photo a minimalist feel. You can place your subject off center with a lot of empty space, like a sky or water, or if you have a backdrop, if it's a studio style photo, you can create the emphasis and just really make it pop. Now, this is a technique, it is a skill, it's going to take practice, so don't be afraid to experiment with the amount of negative space that you use, because just a subtle change of negative space, just a little bit more, a little bit less, can really make your photo pop and just change the overall composition. And sometimes you might not like a photo because it has too little or too much, and then all of a sudden you change just a little bit and all of a sudden you love that photo. So that's definitely something to play with, something that I would encourage you to test and experiment with, and just learn the levels of negative space that you're comfortable with and what you like for your photography. So again, thank you for joining us this week. It's been a really fun week, just taking photos with so many different perspectives. So now that you're equipped a little bit more to see fall from all of these different creative perspectives, I would encourage you to go out, experiment with these tips, capture whatever you can capture, and share them with us. Drop them in the group, tag us. We would love to see them. We get so much joy out of seeing the photographs and the beautiful scenes that you all are creating. So again, thank you, and we look forward to talking to you soon. Bye-bye.